like that one. It's fun. This is from El Salon Mexico by Aaron Copland. And of course there's stories about this. It's like, how did a Jewish kid from New York sitting in the city in the wintertime write this tune? And the answer is, it was in his imagination. Of course, it's said that he spent some time in Mexico on vacation, and so he may have been remembering scenes that he saw. And you can come up with any kind of program you like. El Salon Mexico is supposedly the name of a bar where Mr. Copeland hung out for a bit, and I would assume met some characters. So this should have some character to it. Now, the way I just played it, I think, I tried to put a little dusting of character onto it, try to let a little bit of character come through it, but I really wasn't committed to it. And that's because when you play in an orchestra, there are constraints. You know, you're not really a soloist, but in this case, you are a solo. It says solo, and it even says ad lib. So he's encouraging you to do whatever you will with it. So I have trouble, you know, giving myself permission to go way outside the box. I'm not Mark Gould, after all. Hi, Mark. But it's really healthy to do that. And I'm not sure if I can do it right now, but I'm going to try. I don't know if that was successful. Well, let me try another one. That felt a little better. I'm feeling a little less self-conscious, a little more like, well, it's okay to just play what you feel. So that's what I'm suggesting that you do when you work on this. Now here's the basis. A lot of people have trouble with the trill, and he writes it out as 7 notes and puts trill, you know, with the trill marking. That's all fine. It's great. But we're orchestra players. So we're going 1 and 2. Of course, that won't work. It's got to be somewhat espressivo. So how do we do it? Well, then some of us will come up with a formula, because once you know your formula, then it's pretty safe. You just do the formula. It's kind of like some academics who should have retired long ago, who just teach the same class over and over and over again in the same way, using the same materials. Sorry, folks. But you don't want to do that as a musician. It has to be fresh every time. So if you come up with a formula, that can solve the problem. You say, well, I'll do the first 3 notes more like a triplet, and then the last 4 notes more like a duplet. So let's see how you're kind of theorizing. You're kind of making it math. And that kind of works. So there's nothing wrong with the theory, and there's nothing wrong with the structure, especially if it helps you to be more expressive, right? So I'm talking about 1 beat. But in this 1 beat is so much of what goes on psychologically and just in terms of the mechanics, mental mechanics and the physical mechanics of how we play. So if you're a diligent person, and I'm thinking about doing, if I have time today, another Arvin episode, this one's starting on trills. There's a whole lot to be said about trills. So here's a trill of sorts. And it needs to sound free. And I hope mine basically did. That was interesting. Huh. Why didn't I think of that before? This is kind of like, I used an alternate fingering. And what does that do? It changes the timbre, it changes the pitch, it gives it a totally different character. It's a little bit more crude and not quite as gloriously refined as much of the things that we play in the classical orchestra are, right? This isn't classical orchestra. This is, in a sense, it's kind of popular music. He's trying to The story is, this is the song of the drunkard who comes out early in the morning. He's been spending the whole day in the bar, and he's, drunk as a skunk, as they say, and he's walking along, staggering along, and you get that from the in the instrumental accompaniment that sets this solo up. It's wonderful, wonderful writing. You get that feeling, and so he's singing. So how would a drunk Mexican guy who had a lot of sentiment in his heart be singing? That would be going way over the top. But you could go a little bit in that direction just by changing to an alternate fingering. And supposedly that's a hiccup. Could be. I don't want you to think about that too much. It's a feel thing. That's what we're trying to get at. So you see how what the challenge is with something like this? It's a solo. It's important. We tend to make it way too important. We tend to overthink it. But instead of overthinking or over formularizing or theorizing about it, see if you can find the character. And then go back to the drawing board and say, can I just play it rhythmically? Can I play exactly what's on the page? And then come from those two ends, and then you'll find a blend between this theoretical way of playing and just pure craftsmanship and expression. And that's what all musicians are trying to look for. So I think that's enough on this one. I hope I've inspired you to go practice it. And listen to it in context. It's right at the beginning of the piece, is a short little piece with wonderful character. And that's what music is all about. So see if you can find some character in your practice today, even in your exercises, and enjoy the process. I'll see you when you have some more time. Bye-bye.